Hello, you lovely listeners. I'm Amy. Welcome to the Really Good Conversations podcast, where we will delve into the minds of the business people we have met in the process of launching our first card game. We will be uncovering their secrets to success, their biggest mistakes, and sharing the key lessons they have picked up en route. So, if you're looking for an engaging chinwag mixed with business insights and a good pinch of fun, you're in the right place. Let's have a really good conversation. Hello, Elizabeth, and welcome to the Really Good Conversations podcast.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for joining me on this beautiful sunny day. I hope it's sunny where you are.
It is. The sun is shining. I just spent my whole lunch break. I was going to say hour. It definitely wasn't an hour. My whole lunch break sat out enjoying it. Just
brilliant. Soaking up the vitamin D. Well, Elizabeth, I was so pleased that you said yes to coming on this podcast, and really keen to hear all about your world as a fashion brand consultant, and all about your knowledge and expertise and background in the retail space. So we obviously met in February at Spring Fair. And that's when I heard you doing a talk about the world of TikTok. And that obviously led me to learn more about your world and what you do. And I'd love you to just give us a bit of a background for our listeners about your journey and what you do at the moment.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I am Elizabeth, and I've worked in the fashion industry for about 15 years. So I always knew I wanted to work in fashion from a very young age, I would say, and I studied fashion retail buying at uni. It was a very new course, actually. Nobody had even graduated from it when I joined it.
I couldn't even imagine courses actually existing so specifically. That's amazing that it does.
But what I liked about it was that it was fashion, but you didn't have to draw. You needed to do like a bit of drawing, but it wasn't like a design course. And it was more about like the mix of design and business, which I really liked the appeal of, and like trend forecasting and working with the designer rather than being the designer. So I actually won my job, my first graduate job, off the back of a competition at uni. And I worked at Next for about 5 years. Then I worked at Miss Selfridge, which, talking of TikTok, it's my most popular TikTok video talking about how much I hated working at Arcadia.
Well, I have to look that one up.
Yeah, it's my most popular video, saying it was the worst year of my life. And
bless you.
I then went to work at George at Asda, which was lovely. And I truly believe that all the people in the north make me feel so welcome. And I feel like I'm somehow a northern girl in a southern girl's body. And then I ended up leaving the buying side and working on the supplier side. So I then did that for about 5 years, being an account manager for like River Island and New Look and Urban Outfitters and Warehouse. So lots of sort of high street commercial retail experience. And then in 2018, I had kind of a few years ago sort of turned 30 and felt like I needed some sort of exit plan from what it was that I was doing, because I was very quickly becoming the oldest person in the office, and I wasn't even that old,
You become unfashionable.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, I can't be doing this forever. I need to think of something, and basically had a bit of a brainwave to think maybe I could teach people what it is that I've done all these years. And, if you're starting a fashion brand from a hairdressing background or a lawyer's background, or whatever, but I wonder if you might need some help around manufacturing and marketing and sales. So it worked.
Fantastic.
And I left my job and never really looked back.
That's amazing. And I think that's so fascinating as well to hear that your sort of that realization that I think often when you're working in your day-to-day jobs or whatever career path you have gone down, you don't realize that other people know nothing about what your world is. So
I know.
To you might think, oh, well, this is common sense. Like, purely everybody knows, this is how retail works, or, everyone goes shopping, everyone's a consumer. But the reality is actually the Joe Bloggs person or person creating a product is like, okay, I know this bit, but there's this whole other world out there.
And especially because I'd been to uni and then worked in fashion, like even, you know, a lot of my friends that I had grown up in that industry pretty much from the age of 18. So every friend I had was either a buyer or a designer or a merchandiser or a garment technologist. And so really everybody that I knew did know what I know.
Yes.
It was a bubble. And it took me, I know I sort of blasted through that story earlier, but it took me a really long time to figure that out, that I could create a service out of the career that I'd had.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And what is it that you love about what you do today then, now in your own business? What aspects do you love about it?
Oh, I love it all. I always describe it's like, you know, saying about Arcadia earlier, that is like the black and white part of the Wizard of Oz film. And then like working with small businesses is sort of stepping out of the house when it's all colourful and everyone's just like enjoying being there and so passionate about what it is that they do. I prioritize working with purpose-led brands that, you know, want to be there for a reason. And obviously we want to be making money, but there is other reasons why we're there as well, rather than it being the sole reason why we're there.
That's lovely. And I think definitely, just when you find those just great people to work with, you know, as well, it just makes everything blend easier. You're all on the same page. And I guess, sometimes when you're in certain organizations and hierarchical structures and such, there's a lot more of that kind of, I guess, egos in some larger organizations. And then, you know, everyone's sort of battling for themselves rather than actually, let's just get this done. Let's get something out there. And
well, especially when that organization is led by Philip Green. That sort of energy does filter down. And I talk a lot, you know, about workplace bullying and not really having realized that I'd been through it until I came out of it the other side, and reading about things like, oh yeah, that was me. Oh, I've been through that. And you wouldn't end any of it because it sort of like makes you who you are. And I like to call myself the friendly face in fashion, and I don't think that sort of tagline would have come out or developed had I not been through that. So
absolutely. And I love that. I saw that on your website, the friendly face in fashion, and I was like, oh, I do love that as well. So that's awesome. I dipped my toe in actually as part of my university degree, and I worked for did a placement year at a big brand, a big fashion brand in the PR department. And I decided fashion was not going to be where I was going to continue, bespoke specifically. And I guess some of it was that sort of atmosphere, shall we say. And I remember, I think the Devil's Wears Prada film was out at the time. And, I think, to my mum was like, this is your life, isn't it? Oh my God.
I know, it's true. And I feel bad for people like you in a way, because not every organization is like that. Some of them are, and maybe most of them are, but not all of them. And it was interesting working at Arcadia that the only girls that I stay in touch with from there are the girls who are a lot younger than me, because it's almost like they hadn't been indoctrinated, is that the word? By like the culture at that time, and so they almost like got out before they changed. And I remember speaking to one of the guys that worked there, and he said, I can literally see girls coming in from uni and like developing a different personality, thinking that's how you need to be to work in the fashion industry, and it's not true. Like, you don't have to be BITCH to work in fashion.
The whole thing is, at the end of the day, in business, we always say, people buy from people. And, it's that kind of treat others how you want to be treated, etc., rather than, feeling, I need to put on a certain persona and actually, not exactly be a nice person to work with, if that's, where you're going to go. But that's actually sort of perhaps an interesting segue, because obviously in the world of creating your own product, and we've got the really good conversations, which is again how we met and what would draw me to reach out to you, but there's this whole part of actually people creating products and then needing to sell them, and there's this actual feeling, and again I see that you've got something on the horizon and you really help people selling those products without selling your soul. So could you give us for people listening and intrigued myself, as obviously we are now selling our cards, we're selling them online, we are in retailers, but always looking for tips and advice on improving how to actually do that whole sales part and not sell our souls in the process.
Lots of nice people start small businesses, and we are brought up to believe that salespeople aren't nice, and so you don't really associate yourself with being a salesperson. And I think that is like step one of the problem, is that you don't want to be salesy. And salesy doesn't have to mean being pushy or being sleazy or being gross or being just embarrassing yourself online for fear of what other people might think about you trying to, heaven forbid, sell your product. And people think that selling is sort of trying to get one over on somebody or trying to trick somebody or trying to con somebody, and that's not what it is at all. It's actually just, you have a product and I have some money and we are swapping them.
Yes.
And that's all it is. Like, don't overthink it. And when you have bought something from a small business in the past, you were probably thrilled with your purchase. You were probably so excited to receive it. If anything, you may have thought it was a little bit too cheap, because most people who run a small business do undercharge. And so know that other people can think that about your product as well. You don't have to, it's a massive part of it does come down to confidence and having confidence that your product is worth what it is that you're charging. And so it is a fair exchange in what it is that you're asking for in return. So I would say the step one is to believe in the fact that being a salesperson and being a nice person can coexist. And then second to that would be around having the confidence in your product to know that it's worth that exchange in value, and that's all it is. Don't overthink.
I love that. And that is obviously really big mindset piece, isn't it, as well, of just kind of, that getting out your own way. And I write that actual, exactly what you just said there, that exchange. I guess I personally probably hadn't even thought of it in that way myself, because you want to reach out to people or retailers will speak, but you sort of almost feel you're inconveniencing them.
And what about if you think about it from the other side, where a retailer is desperate for stock that not everybody else on the high street has, and they're looking for something that is a little bit different or locally made to the area, and it's not something that's easily found on Google. Or it might be that somebody watching your Instagram stories is thinking, I really need to buy Jessie a present because it's her birthday next week and I just can't think of what to get. Like, she's so hard to buy for, and your product could solve that for you. And people just always assume the worst when showing up online, that, I'm going to be bothering them or I'm going to be irritating them. And actually, why don't we think about the fact, like, I could really help you what it is? Or if we're getting any problem or solution, what about just bringing a little bit of joy to somebody's life? Like, if it has brought joy to your day, maybe it could bring joy to someone else's. And that can be enough sometimes, and that's okay as well.
That's brilliant. And how would you have any tips for someone who is just starting out? They've got a product and they think, right, okay, I now need to reach out to retailers or anything. Do you have any tips of where you would tell people to start looking, or how they would start venturing into reaching out to people to sell their product?
I think writing a really good template to begin with, of what it is that you're trying to say to somebody. No apologies for start off, no sorry, I know you must be really busy, like sack that off, cut that out of the email. No, oh, I'm just getting in touch because I thought you might be interested. Like, no, we want to be much more direct. And again, it does come down to confidence and mindset and being proud of the product that you're offering. So I'm reaching out to share with you something really exciting that your audience will absolutely love. Having, had a quick look on your social media, I can definitely see it's going to fit in. So-and-so has already been interested in it. If there is anybody that in your audience who has taken an interest in your product that you can use to your benefit, or if you have done a launch and it has sold well in the past, or it's sold really quickly, don't be afraid of hyping yourself up a little bit, like your own hype woman, because nobody's going to do it for you. Nobody's going to sort of reply all and go, oh, by the way, Amy did actually sell out launch a couple of weeks ago. No, there's no one else on that email other than you and the person that you're selling to. So if you don't say it, then they won't know. And when you're selling into people, they're a small business as well, likely, or even if they're not a small business, they're a business that is taking a risk on you. So your message and your reach out to them is all about like minimizing that risk for them. It's a lot easier for them to say yes if you can prove to them that your stuff sells.
That is definitely a good reminder there. Oh, that's fantastic. I mean, we could chat honestly for all day long because you've got so many nuggets. And I think, I said, from your just whole career, your experience that you have packaged up, and you do the one-on-one mentoring with people, and you've got the courses, which is really just brilliant for, businesses like ourselves who are new into the kind of product retail space, and tapping into that experience that you have. Now, obviously, the other reason, as part of the Really Good Conversations podcast, we're already having a good conversation, but we are going to pull out some curveball questions from our pack of cards to further take the conversation to different places. So, since we actually last met, we now have 4 products in our range, and I'm going to let you today choose which cards you want to take it from. So, it's either from the yellow first editions pack, which perhaps is that broad topics of questions and perhaps tap into past experiences or your wisdom even more. Or we've also got the kids pack, which is perhaps a little bit more future focused, more creative, perhaps, and really suitable from the age of 6 upwards. But in my mind, we're all big kids. So
I was going to say, I feel like I've got the mental age of somebody who's 6. So let's go for that one.
So awesome. You're going to go for the kids pack.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, so I am going to just take out, we're going to do 3 cards, and we've got one of these here. So, right, okay, we're going to start off relatively easy. So, if you could learn any language instantly, which one would you choose?
I think I would learn Spanish because I'm pretty sure it would help me learn other languages afterwards. So, fun fact, my nana could actually speak like 5 or 6 languages.
Wow.
I know. And she was so brilliant at doing it. And I remember that she could speak Spanish completely fluently, but it helped her understand lots of other languages as like a layer on top. So say like Portuguese or Italian, she could read pretty much any other language because she knew how to speak Spanish.
Wow. And had she lived in these countries that spoke these other languages, or just learnt them from?
No, it was just a natural born skill that she had inside of her.
Wow.
And my mum actually always says that she just wishes that she had spoken to her in one of these languages when she was younger so she could be bilingual. But when I went to Mexico recently, I downloaded Duolingo and just sat on the beach like playing it. I definitely have a passion for languages, and I just don't know if I've got the skill in the same way that she did.
Yeah. And
but learning it.
Oh, that's awesome. And I know we dipped our toe into that desire to learn Spanish when we went through South America a number of years ago. And, we had the little expression, we had the phrase book, that's it. So read the phrase book as well. And, by the time it's dos cerveza, por favor, and you'd find your locations. And then I remember we went into Brazil and it was like, oh, now we need to learn Portuguese. So just as you felt.
Because you can pretty much read it almost the same, but the pronunciation is completely different. So
absolutely,
hearing it or trying to speak it is, because my dad actually used to live in Portugal. So when I was at school and learning Spanish, I used to read all the road signs and be like, oh, I understand them, but I wouldn't know how to say them. It's much more like throaty, I would say, Portuguese, whereas Spanish is more like sing-songy.
Oh, that's brilliant. Oh, well, excellent. Well, I'll join with the Spanish one if you can, equally tell me there's a quick way to learn it. Okay, so the second question, what do you think you are best at? This is quite broad. It can tap into anything, really.
I know from experience and from people telling me that I'm good at motivating people. And sort of putting a fire in somebody's belly and getting them just to get up and do the thing. And I think in a way, it's partly from working in fashion and a very, very, very fast-paced industry. And, if it took you as long as writing it down to do the thing, we were always like, just do it now, do it now, do it now. And so I think I still got that in me. And I like moving at a fast pace. It keeps me interested.
And you can see just through our chat today, I mean, we're on video, but, I can feel your energy, and your spark just, through the stories and such that you've been telling. And, I guess, how you've been able to succinctly highlight, some of those motivational points. You need one of the, a neon Mr. Motivator outfit when you're doing your
it's really like spreading my energy to people, I would say.
That's awesome. Okay, now the last one from the kids pack is, if you were a superhero, what would your superpower be?
I would say it's so basic, but it is to fly, because I used to have these dreams when I was younger that I could fly. And the way I flew in my dream was almost like I was swimming through the air. And I was like, come on, everybody, it's just so easy. Like, you just float and push your way through. And then I read this dream book when I was older, and it said, if you are dreaming about flying, you're really happy.
Oh, that's lovely.
They've not been as frequent as you get older, obviously. It's life sort of hits you sideways sometimes,
and then it's just the dreams about your teeth falling out.
They're more often.
Exactly.
I do still have a flying dream every now and then. It kind of makes me feel really happy that it's still in there somewhere. And just the idea of being free and being in the air is must be the best feeling.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, actually, just the other week, I actually did. I don't know if you've ever done it, the indoor skydiving.
I've done it. It's so fun.
Yeah, we did that years ago. We did an actual skydive. I've only done the one. I don't feel the need to do another one. I feel like, great, I survived it. Done. Let's not push our luck. But Alex took me to do the indoor one just the other week. And it was like, it's exhilarating.
It is, and they sort of push you up maybe 6 foot above the air just to get the feeling. But I am also scared of heights.
I am too.
So he said, on your second go, do you want to go sort of like really, really high? And they've got this super high funnel, and I was like, go on then, just press the button. They throw you up in the air, and it's like incredible. I've got big chubby cheeks, and they were sort of vibrating in the I loved it.
Oh, awesome. Oh, well, thank you so much for playing those quick questions from the pack. Obviously, complete just different areas of conversation. And I've learned just so much about you just on those, which is really the whole point of our cards, our game, to get people chatting. So I've loved that. So to sort of wrap up, I want to ask you another question, which I ask everybody the same question at the end, is, if you could ask any person, dead or alive, a question, who would it be and what would you ask them?
Such a good question. Well, if you've been following me for a while, you will know one of my idols is Gemma Collins. Maybe an unlikely one, but I went to go and see her live last year and do a show. And I just think she has the most incredible energy about her. And it was amazing being in this room, because it was like she had created some sort of cult, and everyone was obsessed with her. And I think when you think about Gemma Collins, you either love her or you hate her. And it's because she speaks about, a handful of topics to a very specific audience. And just, I would love to say, maybe like, where did you get this confidence from? Or how do you stop caring what other people think?
Yes.
Because from the outside, it looks like she's mastered it. Whether she has or whether she hasn't, she gives a really great shot at it, I would say, more than anybody else I've come across. And I like that she has really incredible family values. This event that we went to maybe had 1,000 people in the room, not even, maybe 500, and there was a whole row of people in there that were her school friends, all the people that she knew when she was younger. And I was like, that doesn't happen by accident, She obviously stayed so true and so loyal to them that they all came and showed up for her. So
oh, that's lovely. And yeah, I think we could all bottle and have a dose of, sometimes, as you said, that confidence and not caring what people think and not overthinking it. I think it probably creeps in for all of us. So yeah, when you do see people like that, it is kind of like, oh wow, so that's awesome. Oh, well, I've so enjoyed chatting to you today, Elizabeth. Really, really thank you for your time. And you've just had such an interesting background, and you continue to help people in businesses and the product space. How can people connect and find out more about you?
Yes, so I am at Elizabeth Stiles UK on Instagram. Come and follow me there, drop me a message. Tell me if you're a fan of Gemma Collins as well, and what you used to dream about when you were younger. I'm the same as Amy, I love chatting. So yeah, come and find me on there.
Excellent. And I'll include those links in the notes as well for this episode. So thank you again so much for your time. And yeah, really look forward to speaking to you again and seeing you again, perhaps at any of the future events.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Be sure to check out the show notes for more information on today's guests. And if really good conversations are your thing, hit subscribe and join us next time for more business journeys, insights and banter.